Okay, go.
Okay, so I'm a composer, and I was trying to write my magnum opus. I spent a long time working up to it, and it just felt like the time in my career to really buckle down. I just felt it coming out of me, and I felt like I needed to get away. So I went to this little cabin, this little retreat in the woods that a friend of mine, their family owned. They said I could stay there for a few weeks, and I spent a lot of time alone there. And I wrote a lot of this piece. It just took everything I had. And finally I was at this point where there was just one final movement in the composition, one final section, and I just got totally stuck. I felt like maybe I'd been alone too long, away too long. Wasn't sure what I needed. So one morning, went to my table to write. I couldn't really focus. It was just a one-room cabin, so it had a porch. I went out on the porch. I remember I was peeling an orange with a knife, and there was just this long strip of peel spiraling down. And this woman rode up on a horse. She was a cowgirl. She had a pink cowgirl hat, a pink camo shirt that said cowgirl. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And not only that, she was blowing bubbles. So I actually saw some bubbles come out of the woods before I saw her, and I heard her horse kind of, she rode up, and I was just kind of speechless with my orange peel, my orange in one hand and my knife in the other. And she blew a bubble, and it traveled towards me. It was a big bubble. It traveled towards me so slowly, and I was just mesmerized. It was kind of rainbow, shimmery bubble, and it landed on my hand, and I remember holding my hand out. It was my hand that was holding the knife, and the bubble landed on my hand, and it didn't pop. It was the strangest thing. It was the softest bubble I had ever felt. I don't know how to explain it, but if it happened to you, you would understand. And at one point, the knife went inside of the bubble, and it didn't pop. And I was just looking at the knife and the bubble, and then a lobster was in the bubble, perched on the knife, and I was like, what is going on here? So I looked back over to the cowgirl, and I was like, what is this? And she was like, this is just what I do. I like to ride around on my horse, I blow bubbles, I just have a lot of fun, and that's the way of a cowgirl. I was like, damn, I want to be a cowgirl. I've always wanted to be a cowgirl. I want to be a composer, but I also want to be a cowgirl. And who doesn't? So I asked her, can I hang out with you? Can I be a cowgirl with you? And she was like, okay, there's just some things you have to do to be initiated into the League of Cowgirls. And I was like, okay, I'm down. Whatever you need me to do. And she was like, well, first there's a test that involves a hula hoop. And I was like, sick. I am really good at hula hooping. I'm so good, I can hula hoop in any situation. She was like, oh yeah? So we walked into the woods to this clearing, and she gave me a hula hoop, and the bubble was still on my hand, and she was like, so actually the reason I came here is because we identified you as a candidate for our secret society of cowgirls, and the bubble is sort of a test. If it lands on you and doesn't pop, then you sort of have what it takes within you. And so the bubble was still in my hand, and she was like, you have to hula hoop with this bubble on your hand. The lobster will still be in the bubble. And if you can keep hula hooping through everything that is about to happen, you can be a cowgirl with me. So I was in the woods, and I was hula hooping, and I was like, yeah, I got this. And then she started throwing fish at me out of her. She had this little bag, and she started throwing fish at me, and I was like, you're gonna play hardball, are you? So I was like moving around dodging the fish. It was crazy. Dodging the fish while hula hooping. And then this other person walked out of the woods playing the violin. They were sort of like waltzing and playing the violin at the same time. And she saw this person and she was like, oh my God, not you. And I was like hula hooping and I was like, what's going on? And she was like, I hate them and they've just been following me around and it's really annoying. So I didn't know what to do and I threw the bubble at them and then as I threw it, she was like, no, in slow motion, but I couldn't stop it and this giant boulder fell and crushed both of them.